Breaking news. Today, I'm exposing the influencer industry completely, totally, and just to you. Hi guys, hope you're well. Today I want to speak about the influencer industry and breaking open the doors and understanding a lot about what goes on behind influencers who are actually quite fake. So just a note, just a disclaimer, this is not all influencers at all. This is just a small subsection of influencers who actually do these kind of things and who have who do these kind of things and basically are still continuing to do some of these things as well. So it's not all influencers. So please don't lose trust in like every single influencer out there. It's just a couple that are doing these kind of things which are kind of causing a bit of problems in the industry. There are a couple of things that are causing problems for brands and for agencies, and they're basically it's hard to decipher at times. So I think that is what I really want to address and help hopefully someone to really understand and pick out the right influencers for their brand campaigns and just generally in terms of content, etc., and who to follow. So a great example of this is during basically this whole prank video era, I'd call it that. So roughly around like 2011 to about 2013, 2014, there was a big prank like era of like everything is prank, like a gold digger prank. There was like, zombie in the lift prank. So a lot of ethnic influencers also did a lot of pranks during that time, and one of them was like, for example, FouseyTube, and with Adam Sala, he used to do a lot as well. But there are like other really, really big ones who used to do quite a lot of crazy pranks. And I think these are just the two I could remember off the top of my head. But what was really important about them is that they were doing things which also a lot of other YouTubers in terms of general stuff. So for example, Roman Atwood and other kind of key individuals within the YouTube scene were really kind of doing as well. During that time, there were a lot of pranks basically that involved people. So it was very much like going out and speaking to the public and doing things and etc. etc. Obviously, it's not always easy to find people to kind of like speak to or to kind of do the prank with or just to interact with or to film basically, because obviously you need to have permission from them, etc. So what a lot of YouTubers were actually doing at that time was hiring actors. So some people already obviously know this, but some people don't. And what was really interesting is that some of the things that we saw in the videos that we were watching during that time period were not actually even real. So a lot of it was staged, had a script next to it. It would be someone that they would know or someone actors that they would pay off of like Fiverr or something, because it was really, really cheap labor back then, like a couple of like £10 an hour or £5 an hour, and they can just get it all done. And they could use multiple people and they'd get great reactions, and the views would hit millions or the views would hit hundreds of thousands of views. Like it would be really, really strong. And they'd obviously make a lot of money from it as well, right? So that is what one of the things that they would do, which would just be completely off the charts fake, like completely fake, but they would portray it as if it was genuinely people off the road that they just picked up and spoken to. One video which really took the absolute mick out of this entire industry or this entire thing was Zayd Ali's video, which was basically like a parody video, and it spoke about, so it was a collab between Brahim Perdersi and Zayd Ali. It was all around the fakeness of the picking up girls prank. So it was all around basically how to like pick up girls when they're paid for, and Raheem played the beautiful Nasreen in that. But I think it's a really, really good example of how people were just taking the mick out of that, and they used that as a great example to basically show what the industry is like and what some YouTubers were doing. Not all of them, some YouTubers were doing at that time. It was quite a chaotic time anyway, just generally because I think people were trying out really crazy formats, and a lot of it was to do with kind of social interaction. So it was all about being the best, always about being better, always about being more than anyone else in that kind of time as well. So it was all around competition. So another couple of bits that people or influencers do is also buying followers. So buying followers is one of the most hated things by me. Like literally, I hate it so much. It's unbelievable. Whether it's a brand, whether it is a influencer, whatever it is. Like I understand why people do it because it's all around vanity metrics and things like that. But it hurts the engagement of a page so much. It's unbelievable. If, for example, as an influencer, you've bought followers, That's great. You look like you've got amazing stats. Like, oh, you've got 2.5 million people. Oh my gosh, it's so incredible, so amazing. Or for example, like 500,000 people. If savvy brands and people in general look through the follower list, or look at the engagement rate, or look at the kind of comments that are coming underneath like posts, they'll actually see that obviously this is all fake. But what is unbelievable, I cannot fathom right now, until like literally we're in 2022, and I still can't understand how brands still fall for these like complete scam artists. And that's what they are. These influencers will completely inflate their following, right? And brands will buy into it. And some of these are quite big brands, and they've still bought into this fact that this person has like 2.5 million followers when they actually have an engagement rate of like 0.06 or something. And the fact that brands are not even checking these kind of things is just unbelievable to me. When there are so many tools out there, literally you can do manual calculations to figure things out, and brands are not doing these simple checks to find out whether a person is literally a real influencer or whether they're not. And what makes it worse is that when it's a paid collab, there are authentic, real influencers who have spent their time, energy, years and years and years, blood, sweat and tears, everything, into making the number that they have. And brands will go for another person who has a complete false amount of influence at all. So this person who has, for example, 100,000 followers, which is genuine, real, authentic engagement rate of like 6%, for example. And this person who has a following of 500,000 with an engagement rate of like 0.2 or something even stupider than that. And brands will run towards them. Why? Always, as a brand, keep an eye on who you're following, keep an eye on who you're interacting with, keep an eye on who you're taking for paid collabs, and just do the basic, which is just an engagement rate. Just work out the engagement rate. If the engagement rate looks wrong for the industry average, really take caution and really move away. Because honestly, like, there are so many influencers who have spent so much time and energy and effort building their pages to what they are right now, and then brands just completely ignore them, or people just completely ignore them and decide to go for someone who has completely inflated numbers. So please think about who you're following. Another example of fakeness, or something that some influencers also do, is faking a lavish lifestyle. So what do I mean by that? Faking a lavish lifestyle means taking pictures, for example, in a bikini or in a certain location, and then tagging it as something else. A great example of this was in an article that I actually read, which is all around like fakeness, influencers and things like that. And one of the examples that they showed was a woman basically dressed up really like pretty. She'd got really nice hair, she had sunglasses on, a bathing suit on, and was just kind of posing really nicely. And what she'd actually done was, instead of actually tagging the correct location, which was her backyard, she decided to tag Four Seasons to make it seem like she's living this incredible lavish lifestyle where she's out there taking pictures for brands like the Four Seasons and things like that. So another really big example that I think a lot of other influencers are doing is that they're going and sitting in first class or business class and then pretending that that is them. So that is where they've spent the entire flight, basically. Whereas in reality, they've literally just taken a picture in the business class seat, when in reality, they're actually in economy. And in reality, they don't have that much money to be able to spend on a business class seat, nor has it been sponsored, nor has it been paid for, nor is it a business opportunity. So what is really interesting, and I think I understand obviously the mechanics of it, I'm not taking the mick or anything, because I understand it's what people want to do and they kind of need to find hacks and things like that. Like, we all do it when we're growing, it's completely understandable. But when it comes to serious things like basically faking that you have a lot more money and then making other people feel like they don't have enough, I think that's where it's a bit difficult. Obviously, if you're gonna like try and do a little bit of like naughtiness and maybe pretend that you've got like a product that's come through, it might be like a $5 product or something, or £5 product, that's not too bad, because it's not like you're making people feel really, really bad about having this amazing lavish lifestyle which you don't really have, and making other people feel empty, because it's literally just a £5 product. People can go and buy it from somewhere. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not the end of the world. But when you're talking about bigger purchases, it influences, obviously as an influencer, it influences people's minds. So it can make people feel like, oh my gosh, I'm not as good as this person because this person sits in business class and first class all the time. And look at me, I'm just sitting in economy, like, ugh, what am I? And I know it's not good for people to think that way, but it is the reality. And as an influencer, there is a certain amount of responsibility that you have towards your audience to think about, hold on, what kind of image am I portraying? Am I being real, or am I just doing things which are just going to make people feel more poor and to make me feel better and like, yes, look how rich I am, guys. Look, everyone comment on my pictures because I'm so rich and I'm so amazing and I'm just amazing and this. It's all about thinking about what your intention is. And honestly, what I always believe in is that whatever you do in terms of fakeness will always come out in some way. There's no way ever that you can just continue a lifestyle of fakeness until one day where you be truly exposed. And that's one thing I really, really think is so important, is just think about what kind of legacy people are leaving for the future, and also how you're influencing others. Influence people in a positive way, influence people in a real way. And brands really need to keep an eye out for these little triggers and little things and really need to be open and wise, rather than kind of just going ahead with what they think is right. But they really need to look into it and understand influence marketing a lot more. Obviously, if you need help, let me know. Hopefully that all makes sense, and hopefully I haven't exposed too much. But it was really, really interesting, and I think if you would like more of these kind of videos, or if you're really interested in more around the influencer industry in general, let me know in the comments below. See you in the next one.